because the weather's so bad outside, the job I'm doing tonight is taking this Webasto off to see if I can find out why it doesn't work. Now there's a plate under there with 4 nuts. There's 2 you can see there, and there's 2 there. But it's difficult to get at them because of that exhaust. Well, it's difficult to get at the bottom too anyway. So I took the exhaust off and look what came out. Look what... Oh, is it all done now? No, there's still some more coming out. That's what came out. So I'm thinking this could do with a really good clean inside, I'm guessing. But I mean, when you look at the state of this Webasto, look at that casing. And I think that's contributed to by the fact that this is the manual bilge pump in the cockpit, and it's leaking, and it's probably been leaking for quite some time, and of course it's been leaking straight under there, so that's been rusting for some considerable time. And one of the fittings obviously isn't stainless steel because it's rusting as well. So yeah, right, now I'm just trying to take this out. So we'll see how it goes. Otherwise, if I can't get it to work, it's a cheap Chinese heater. All told, about half an hour to dismantle bits and the electrics and what have you and get this actually off. Oh dearie me, look at that. Yeah, it's not so great, is it? No. So it's not looking great, but you never know, it could just be the case that's rusty and horrible and that the insides just need a decoke. Judging by the state of that exhaust, God only knows what's going on inside of it. So, you know, let's wait and see. I'll get into the thing and see if I can work out what's going on. And yeah, we'll wait and see. And here it is, in all its miserable glory. Let's have a look. That's a little view inside the Webasto. That's a Webasto, and you can see clearly here. Watch where my finger is, and then I'll light it up. You see all the black carbon. Now, I think that thing in the middle, it looks like a spark plug. I think it's a preheater. But this is what you've got to do to get at the darn thing. There's all that come off it. There's all these bloody... Well, anyway, it's done now. And what I pulled out, interestingly, was this for a start, which is the fuel intake. That's where, I don't know if it's going to focus properly. That's where the fuel line goes on the outside, and it leads to this, and this fits in the body. And look at that. Look at that. Is that camera focused on it? Yeah, there it is. See, that, whatever it is fine. What you see here. Now, I don't quite know how this works. The fuel comes in here. In this, there's a kind of a felt. So I don't know whether it's supposed to do that. I assume so. But that felt obviously needs replacing because it's deteriorated really badly. So I need to find out how to replace that and what that's going to cost me, importantly, because parts are really expensive. And then the other thing that I found was this, which I'm assuming, because it's got a 12-volt plug on, I'm assuming that's the glow plug. Now, I should have given you a little look at this beforehand, because that was absolutely caked in carbon. I've scraped the heck out of it, so it's cleanish now. So all I've got to find out is this glow plug was kind of sealed inside of there. It was kind of a black silicone kind of stuff that sealed that down in that hole. So I don't know if that needs some kind of weird silicone to replace it or not. There's a screw goes in. I think the screw... Right, let's see if you can see this. Let's see if I can make it... get it in the light somehow so that... There we go. You see just above my thumbnail, there's a small bright spot. Bugger. There, see that? Right above your thumbnail, in that line of light. And I think what happens is there's a screw, and the screw, if you look at the glow plug in place, let's get a torch on it. If you look at the glow plug in place, there's a screw hole right next to it. You got it? And there's a screw goes in there. And I thought, yeah, there's some kind of bracket holes that in, but there's not. Where that kind of shiny bit is on the shank. There's the camera. There it is. There it is. You can see it clearly there. You can even see that it's indented and bruised on the base of the shank. Well, the screw just literally screws into the side of the glow plug. Now, I don't know whether that helps earth it or something. I have absolutely no idea. But it holds it in place. So the top and bottom of it is there was some sealant around the shank here, which I've cleaned off, and I'm assuming it might have to have some go back. But I've cleaned this off. I'm going to give it another rub with one of those green scour pad things. Come on, camera. The focus on these is fucking shit, isn't it? Yeah, I'm going to use a green scouring pad to see if I can clean it off a little bit more. And then, once I've got the sealant, if I need it, and this felt ring, whatever it is, if I need that too, because it's pretty mucky in there. I think that all needs a darn good clean out with a wire brush. So I'll do that as well. I'll go on the Webasto website and see if I can get that felt ring and then put it back together. And if it doesn't work, then it's going in the bin. So that's all there is to it. Okay, that's my job for the night. I'm going to have some tea now. This is the cables for the glow plug, which is out of sight. Yeah, that screw holds it in. I remember I showed you that in the earlier. So I put the meter on to the glow plug, and what happened was there was no continuity there, so the circuit wasn't closed. That's a good sign, because it should have quite a high resistance. That's how it gets it to glow. So if there's quite a high resistance, you won't really get any continuity. So the glow plug might be okay, but who knows. I think I'm going to throw it out. That felt that I showed you on the fuel input yesterday, I found a website online that sells those felts, and it's about a little circle about that big, and it's about what, 4 or 5 millimeters thick, and it's just felt. Obviously it'll be some kind of fireproof felt, I would imagine, but anyway, it's just felt, and it's 40 odd pounds, 47 pounds. So £47 along with possibly a glow plug, and I don't even know if that's going to solve the issues yet, because I don't know how to troubleshoot these things. So that's not really worth it. With a glow plug, that's probably going to be, I don't know, I'm just going to guess at like 60 or 70 pounds, and you can get a full Chinese heater for under 100. So I don't know if there's any value, considering this is in such a parlour state anyway, with all the corrosion and screws that are slightly stripped, etc. I just wonder if there's actually any point fixing this. What I might actually do is find out what works and sell it for spares. Sell it for spares to somebody who's already got one. That's what I might do. So that's it. Webasto, game over. Chinese heater, hello. I think I found out what might be wrong with the Webasto. Now, in there, this apparently is the glow plug. Now, I've not found any way to measure to see if that's working or not. It's conducting right the way through, and I would have thought that would have been negative, because a glow plug needs resistance to work, so the fact it's got no resistance makes me suspect it. This, which is the flame detector, has an awful lot of resistance, and again I would have expected that. I would have expected a lot of resistance to both of them, but anyway, it is what it is. Alright, now this is the fuel input assembly. And this kind of goes down in there, and that cap fits over there with the gasket. So I've just replaced the two parts. This took a lot of cleaning up. This felt, it was stuck in, it was almost glued in. It felt like it was really you can see it's only a few millimeters thick. What's that, 4 millimeters thick? It's very, very difficult to get out all the remnants out. So in the end, I used a little wire brush on a Dremel to clean it all off. And look what happened to the wire brush. The wire brush is disintegrated, and that's all I used it for, just to clean inside here where the gasket goes, and inside here where the felt goes. That's all I used it for. And in fact, because that was a rotary brush, I tried one of these too, which is a brush that kind of comes out from the head, if you know what I mean. So I tried one of them too, but that also, I mean, you can see there, there's a tiny bit left over. Can't catch the focus for some reason. Anyway, you can see, so that's 2 Dremel brushes. I've got to clean the end though, and to be fair, this fuel, that's the input fuel from the tank, and when it goes along here, it goes obviously through there, and it comes out just underneath here. Now I can't show you underneath there, because what I found out, and guess how I found out, this felt is very stiff, very firm, but it's also very brittle. So you can see it's very, very, very slightly, like 1 degree turned anti-clockwise to where it fits. Now that bothered my OCD, so I tried to turn it a bit and I couldn't, so I went to prise it out gently, and I knew I'd have to be gentle, and it still started to split at the top. So I thought, sod that, my OCD is going to have to take a back seat here. But anyway, the fuel comes out in a little tiny hole just in the middle of this kind of top section of the felt. That felt, by the way, was 50 quid, believe it or not. I think all it does is, when the fuel comes in, it stops the fuel spurting and squirting all over. It just kind of, kind of seeps through, I suppose. Yeah, so that was 50 quid, and I think this gasket was something like £12. The other one, actually, wasn't too bad. It was a bit dieselled up, it was a bit carboned up, but I soaked it in some W40 and it still retains its firmness. It's quite hard. And I thought, well, in an emergency, it might work. So I'm not going to throw it away, but, whatever. And this, which is an O-ring to fit the entire assembly, I believe that was about £10 or something. And I've inspected the old one. It only looks newer than the new one because I've cleaned it with WD-40. But I've kept the old one because I've investigated it. I've checked it out from its whole length, and it doesn't appear to have any cracks or splits or anything. So, sorry I didn't show you the process of changing these, but at least you can see how they do change. That felt, by the way, you kind of have to tease it into the cup that it's in. It doesn't just fall in, it's in there with tension now, because the cup, the sides of the cup are very slightly rounded, if you can see. So it fits in really nicely, really tightly and really securely. But make sure you get it right first time, especially if you're OCD like me, because then that 1 degree is just going to freak out. I'm going to wake up in the middle of the night thinking that 1 degree of rotation. Never mind. So it's cup of tea time, because it's still early on the morning, and then I shall be trying to get this whole thing back together. And I'm not actually doing any more on the Webasto. That's like 80 quid in total I've spent on it, which is the price of a Chinese heater on eBay. So if 80 quid doesn't fix this Webasto, I can probably get most of my money back through the body and the motor itself, which that works absolutely fine. The motor, it's spot on. So I'll probably get my money back just off those few parts. But if I spend any more, I'm going at a loss. And there's no... The glow plug, I think I saw them somewhere for £150. Now, how can they charge £150 for a glow plug, which you can't see very well, but can you turn the light on? No, it's not letting me turn the light on for some reason. It's good old Stone Age technology. I'm showing a torch in there. So, right, yeah, there's your glow plug, that thing with the coiled metal around it. Yeah, so that's weird that that has no resistance. I think that means it's gone, and that probably means that I'm going to have to abandon this Webasto, because, as I say, it just isn't cost effective. If you get a Chinese diesel heater for around, I don't know, around £100 now for the average one on eBay, they're very comprehensive, they're very the controller is very capable, allowing you to set different time settings and all that kind of stuff, which the Webasto isn't. The Webasto, if you can see on my wall there, is literally on, off and temperature. That's it. So the Chinese ones are much more capable, and you might have to buy a separate exhaust to make sure it's marine compatible, but apart from that, you could buy a Chinese heater every year and you're not losing much money really compared to having to repair things like the Webasto and other ones as well. Okay, that's enough cup of time for me. One thing this case suffered from a lot was corrosion. Quite why I'm not 100% sure. So what I'm doing is I'm just running a Dremel around some of the worst areas. I've taken the metal clip out that goes into that screw hole. I'm going to clean that up in acid. I'm just going to give this a quick clean around here. So, not the cleanest job, but I am trying to do it one-handed, and that's not very easy. Right, so as I say, the worst corroded areas, I'm going to try and do the best I can with them to bring them back to metal, and then I'll use a little flap type disc to polish them up a little bit, and then I'll put some phosphoric acid on to inhibit the rust, and I'll soak the clips in a bit of that phosphoric and then clean them with a wire brush, and then that should go back together a lot more smoothly, he says, hopefully. I thought I'd show you the de-rusting process. I've put screws and those little metal clips in here, and that phosphoric acid is at about 5%, I think, roughly, and you can see everything sizzling nicely. And basically what this does, if you've cleared the thick rust off, it stops the oxidization process. The acid is actually right now attacking the oxidization. That's what's happening, that's why it's sizzling. When it's finished, the oxidization process will be halted, and then you can treat the metal if you like in some way. I might get some kind of primer to put on, but they were bare metal to start with. They've just been in a damp environment, unfortunately, so they may be okay without any further preparation. But that's all I've done. I've just put a little bit of acid, 5% phosphoric, and it's chugging away there merrily. So I'll let you see what happens. You can see how dark it was, the one right centre screen there now. That's this one that doesn't want to be dunked, it's fighting back. Right, and there's a screw under there which is really corroded. This one, as you can see, pretty bad. I'll bring it out the acid, look at that. Oops, what's going on? Yeah, that's pretty bad. So yeah, let's leave that for a few hours and we'll see what happens. Well, it's been in now for a few hours. I think, just by actually looking at it, you see something's been going on. There's still the odd little gas bubble. And you see here, that looks like that's still fizzing away to me. It is, isn't it? Yeah. It's still fizzing away like crazy. I'm going to give that a little shake. There you see. Everything's gone black. Oh, quite a big flake in there as well. Wow. I'm going to leave that for a bit more because it's not hurting anything. I'm not putting it back together yet anyway. Yeah, I've just knocked a bit of rust off, that's why that one's looking silver. Everything goes black basically because when the acid stops the oxidization process, the oxidized metal actually goes black. So all of the black tells you that it's worked, basically. It's worked. That's absolutely great. So I'll leave it a while long because it's still obviously still going. I don't know if you can tell what you see on the left. Here and also here. It's actually still fizzling. You can barely see it now, but it is still fizzling. So I'm going to leave it to continue. It's not harming anything. You could actually leave things overnight, there's no harm done. And then you can wash all that black off if you so choose. Or you can just leave it on the black coating, it doesn't actually harm anything. But that's how good phosphoric acid is. You can see more clearly on the case itself. Now you see along here there was no rust. I've just basically rubbed that back because it was rough. But here you can see that was rusty, and it's turned into black. All the little black specks that they were rust. I could give another coat of acid to that and it would do a bit more. See, that one's the same. It's good, but it could do better. So it just wants a little clean off now with a scouring pad to get rid of the loose stuff off the surface, and then that will be good to go. That would be, I can't remember what the white is. I think the white is something, I think the white is where it's actually finished completely, what it's doing, and the black maybe it hasn't finished. I don't know, what the hell. This is part of my Webasto. I suppose it's if you've got the heater on high and you think, oh, I'll do a chicken at the same time. it goes into the hot end of the heater like that, and it does actually drop all the way down eventually like that, and it goes all the way down. And I checked on the Webasto site because I can't think of why it might be helpful. Just some kind of insulation to stop the heat evaporating through the case or something. Anyway, apparently yes, it is part of the thing. So I thought, how can I repair or replace that, because it's actually quite thick aluminium, it's not just a bit of foil. And then I came up with the good idea. Walking through Asda, I saw one of these. You saw it. It's a thick turkey tray. That's quite a sturdy bit of metal. So here's one I prepared earlier. Oh, my bloody knee, I've just slammed my knee. So yeah, all I've been doing is using the end of the heater that counts. See, there's two ends to the heater. Oh, right, the other one's gone. I was going to show you, but the other one's gone, and I actually don't know where it's gone. Oh, that's quite bizarre. Oh well, it's disappeared then. Oh, there it is. There's the other end of the heater. Blue for cold, red for hot. So this is the air intake, and this is the air output. So of course, when that foil's in place, that end cap sits over the end like that. So I thought, oh, I know how to make one. I'll put that on there. I'll put the foil on top, and I'll bash it into shape. I'll use that as kind of like a form. And I'll bash it into shape. So that's what I'm doing, believe it or not. Now, I know you may not be able to see this very well, and I'm sorry, but there's just no other way to get a camera so you can see what's going on. Right, so that's what I've got so far, and this is my trusty tin of butane gas for the oven light and what have you. And all I'm doing is bashing the aluminium into that plastic foam. That's going to be one tough bugger, because that is the part that has to have a crease in it. So of course that's taken some doing. This is thick old stuff, this is. So obviously, wherever it creases, you see, that's going to be where it's going to be difficult to do, which is pretty obvious, I guess. So there's another crease there. Let me get that one out. And then on that side, so that's not going to be easy. Oh, that works. Bending it to and fro a tiny bit while I'm pushing into the form works. Instead of fighting against the great knot of it. Right, how we're doing. Well, it's taking shape, isn't it? It is taking shape, but we've got an awful long way to go, methinks, because I've got the shape. Once it's out of here, I've got the shape straight walls. Not 100% certain how I'm going to do that yet. But hey, what the heck. Ooh, that's a bit of a stiffy, that one. Yes, I've got a stiffy. Having a look at the other one, which I've done several times, what I was hoping was that I could just split it. So make a little split up in the corners and then fold it so it fits into shape. However, the original one doesn't have that. So obviously what they've done is they've folded it. Let me just quickly find my actually I was going to say let me quickly just find my, and I was going to look for a tool, but there's absolutely nothing quickly in here, and I can't see. I've got some pipes, I've got some pipe spanners that I thought might just do the trick nicely to reach over and bend, but I can't see them. There's so much stuff in the boat at the moment, I can barely find anything at all when I want it. So I've got an idea. I have an idea. Right. I'm not going to need this thick lip. In fact, I can't have the thick lip. This thick edge that you can't see yet. There, this thick rim. I can't have that because that's not going to fit in the heater. There's only a very small space between the foil and the wall of the heater, and I'm sorry you can't see this, but I can't get my phone in a better place at the moment. But just imagine me snipping my way slowly around that rim to get that entire rim off. I read somewhere, probably on one of those ridiculous DIY hack videos on the internet, that if you cut tin foil with scissors, it would actually sharpen the scissors. I mean, that's ridiculous. Surely, how can you sharpen the scissors by cutting metal? You know, it doesn't make any sense. This bit does not want to come out. some hellish thick foil, that is. Pick it up for this too, especially with the crease in. There we go. That's that out of the way. And just get rid of that. Whew. Back's aching. Right, if I get this crease back in the foil, we can get that back in there where it belongs. Where the hell are those bloody pliers? How can you lose a huge pair of pipe pliers and just like lose them? I mean, that's ridiculous, isn't it? It's ridiculous. Okay. So I'm continuing on.